just to repeat, because we're now recording, we're first gonna give a big ups to Angelique for recommending this book. It was a great book. It's a definite must for everybody's who has children, even if you don't, collection. Give the child a chance to physically, absorb it for themselves. And before we started, the ladies were talking about the bonnet culture right now. And I don't wear bonnets too much. It happens though, but I do my wraps. And, to me, that criminalizing that or villainizing that leads to villainizing this. And I've been in both seats. I'm still kind of on the fence though, because I agree half and half. But, you guys, go ahead. Share a little bit what you mentioned there.
Okay, are you talking about that comment Monique made?
Yeah, that's what they were discussing. Just like, what's your thought on it? I mean, you don't have to comment on what she said.
Oh, okay.
Just what's your thought?
I'm a strong believer in the bonnets. I support the bonnets 1,000%. Okay, I know y'all have faithfully seen me walk around in my nightgown and my bonnets at Walmart, everywhere, the doctor's appointment, whatever. Because some days you just don't feel like doing it, man. So that bonnet, you just slip on your head and walk out the door. What's the matter?
Angelique and I were having, we were conversing about it before y'all came on, and I am not a bonnet wearer in public. I'm not. And
public,
if I can't pull it in a ponytail or something, I don't do it. But when it became such a big issue, it made me reevaluate. When I was growing up, it was like, wear clean drawers in public, be presentable at all times, da-da-da-da-da. That's the way I was raised, right? But then I didn't want my children to feel embarrassed when I was out with them in public because their mama got on a bonnet or night clothes or whatever. But when it became a big global conversation, I was like, yo, there's enough things holding Black women back, that we have so many codes to follow. What we not gonna do is criminalize a bonnet. So what I was talking to Angelique, I got this bonnet on. Does it make me less articulate because I'm wearing this bonnet? Does it negate my degrees that I have because I'm wearing this bonnet? Does it take away from my professionalism because I'm wearing this bonnet? Does it no longer make me financially stable because I'm wearing this bonnet? No. So I am sick and tired of Black women being objectified and criminalized for being fashion and trendsetters. White women go out here all the time in their lounge pants and their pajama pants with their messy bun, and that's the style. Girl, that's her relaxed look. She can go to Starbucks with her pajama pants on, but let a Black woman go to Starbucks with her pajama pants on. We are criminalized for everything. My bonnet is equal to her pajama pants. Don't say nothing about her wild, messy bun. So don't say nothing about the bonnet. So I've not worn bonnets in public. I've not done that. But let's reinvestigate this because I do, and because I don't, and Destiny does. It don't make Destiny no less of a woman because she rocking her bonnet. And like Nat brought up to the point, we have beautiful head wraps in our community. People are wrapping their head in these fashionable ways. If you criminalize the bonnet, you're gonna start criminalizing the wrap. You're gonna start criminalizing the headdresses because it's ghetto. So. But let a white woman do it now. Let a white woman do it.
All right, ladies. Well, I'm feeling that heat. I'm feeling it. We don't want to get too off topic because I know this can go. It can go far. I feel the energy. So for just like a quick recap for anyone who has not gotten to listen to the read aloud in the Facebook link for YouTube, and you can feel free to jump in. I'm just giving a really short synopsis. So A Chance for My Mother was about a family who experienced a house fire, and the child was saving money throughout the story to buy her hardworking mother a chair. Okay. If anyone would like to add into that, just to, give a little summary from their perspective, or just how you felt about the book.
So
I thought the book.
I know for me.
Hello.
Go ahead.
No, I was saying when we critiqued the book in college that after we read it, we had to break down the lessons learned, what was the teachable moments in the book, and a tip from my mother. It showed responsibility. It showed how I am my brother's keeper. Because if you notice, it's like the community came together to help this family. It also showed the child in the book. You know, if you want something, be willing to work hard for it. And when you gave me the book this morning, that I kept saying that book sounds familiar. That book sounds familiar, and I was like, because I critiqued that book. I'm glad I don't throw away book papers or nothing. And I was like, you know, when I read it at that time, 20 odd years ago, I'm like, this book is crap, you know. But fast forward to having kids and living in a community, it's very, very thought provoking. It also teaches your kids, you know, you play a role in this also, so that they can take part in being responsible, being a part of a community. Learning that if you want something, you have to work for it. Nothing's given in life. And that's what I got from it. Like fast forward now. That was Angelique that was talking with me.
Yeah.
Hey, Angelique.
Hey.
So we go sit down.
Okay, so I just wanna jump right in. Because she mentioned that community. That's one things that stood out to me in the book, because while you're following the child and her journey, you're understanding the mother's struggles. Grandma is right there the whole time. She is watching the little girl. She's helping her save. She's teaching her. She's in part taking her to the bank, if I'm not mistaken. And then the community's also like behind the family after the tragedy happened, and getting a new couch and like a little celebration, because it's like a small kind of nod to, you know, life is moving on and moving forward. And that's definitely what in this time we're kind of missing. Now everything is kind of opening back up. Hopefully people start getting back together and refocusing on building the village, because I hear that as a complaint from all mothers I know. All mothers I know, just like, where is the village? Where is the village? And that definitely needs, in many different aspects, multiple conversations. Because I mean, there's just as many reasons as why we don't have it. You'd have to kind of approach that village to village, because there's different reasons in different villages. Anyone like to add to that? Go ahead.
I just know that one of the things that I've always taken from the book is just the idea of rebuilding, because they pretty much lost everything. And that one image where they showed their faces peering through the window and everything was all black, that image always like stirs me, because the rest of the pictures in the book are so colorful and bright. And that makes it seem like what happened was so devastating, but they're able to move on from it. Even the fact that her and her mother were just walking down the street, they had a nice day, they went shopping. And then when they realized that their home is on fire, immediately, the mom is like, where's my mother? And the little girl's like, where's my grandmother? And the aunt's like, no, where? She's fine. Like, that was their immediate thing. Like, not, oh, my stuff. It was like, is everybody okay? And even the cat was okay. So just like sometimes just not being so materialistic, or knowing that we lose things, and maybe we don't lose them in a fire. Maybe something breaks, or it can get stolen. You can have a burglary, and just not being so attached to the things, just more to the people. Mm-hmm. And even the fact that they had family that took them in. They probably didn't like necessarily have the space, but they took them in until another apartment opened in the building. And that was another step to help them rebuild and to make the transition easier. So they stayed with family. They didn't, go to a shelter or something.
Mm-hmm. That's beautiful. Like that, maybe people don't think about it, but until it happens to them, of course. And it's like having that is, it didn't matter how much money they had, because, you know, if that happened to you, I mean, if you were fortunate enough to just, hey, I can get an apartment right now and we're good. That's one thing, but even still, emotionally, you're kind of a wreck. That's not even something you're thinking about. Just to have a family, people you know and love and that love you, to take you in at that time is, you know, they can't put a price on that. That's wealth right there. To me, that is wealth. I like what you said about rebuilding life too. I know a lot of kids, I know me as a kid too, like I couldn't imagine a fire, my Barbies, you know, my toys, my stuff. Yeah, you think about stuff. But a fire is devastating. There's people who experience floods, earthquakes, all kinds of natural disasters, even like just accidents that just take away everything you thought you would have forever, everything you hold dear. And like you said, some kids just don't get, you know, the difference between what's really important when it comes to like materialistic things and family and people. Like they might not hold the same significance that the little girl did, because the chair is representative of a lot of things. Mm-hmm. You know, it's, yes, it's a physical chair, but it's that one thing that brought a little bit more comfort and was kind of, I guess, a all-encompassing picture of rebuilding life. And the fact that it was like floral, leaning to, you know, like newness, wealth, blooming, just like, I think that's it's perfect for kids too, because it's like it takes you kind of on that roller coaster with the imagery, everything being bright and happy, and then this happens, and it's like, I know for most kids that I have read it with as well, it was just like shocking. Like they can't imagine where this book is going next. Like I could, you know, because they put themselves there. Kids are still at that empathetic stage where it's like, I can't imagine if that would happen to me and losing all my things. But then it's also showing them the importance of family and the community and love and what's important more than the things that was lost, because all those things can be, you know, reacquired. But what's important are these people.
You made me think of something else too when you said everybody, like people who even go through tornadoes or things like that or floods, because it's true, even on the adult end, sometimes you lose all your photographs or like your documents, and you have to go through heck to like get your birth certificate again, your social security, like just all these proof of, like that could be a nightmare. And most parents do such a good job of shielding their kids from that. Kids don't know about that stuff. Or maybe you're trying to fight with your insurance company to get a claim on something.
Yeah, it's those little things. I mean, seeing it from a child's perspective, that's a whole other like paradigm. And I don't know any kids personally, and I don't think I've ever really like talked to people I know who had such things happen to them to get a sense of what the kid is going through. And I don't think that a lot of adults do, because they're facing so much. They do try to, like, you know, shield the child from feeling the brunt of it. Besides, like, you know, they just lost their things, so they try to, you know, get them things to make them happy. But the child sees your struggles too. So they're going through something else in addition to what you're going through. So how do you address that?
I think that's one thing that we underestimate is the intelligence of children. I think we underestimate that. And, you know, like when sometimes children really seem very materialistic until the fire happens, until the tornado happens, until they seem very materialistic until all is lost. And you will see, I think children are the most humane in our society. They are at a place of innocence, and they don't have enough background knowledge to be as cold-hearted as we think they may be. Oh, my toys, my Barbies, my this, because the first thing the child says, where's my grandmother? Where's my grandmother? And working with children a majority of my career, I have had students lose everything in fires. I've had students be impacted by like the tornadoes we have here in South Carolina. I mean, hurricanes and the storming and the flooding, and kids come back to school, you know, after these tragedies, and they need to share, or when they share, I am surprised, I'm shocked at their humanity. They are able to say, yeah, we lost everything. I'm sad about that, but my mom is still alive. I've had children lose parents in tragedies, shootings, fatal shootings right here in my community. And the way kids understand, we take for granted what they really truly do understand. And they process it differently, but they do understand. They do understand the importance of the human, you know, the relationship versus the stuff. We just don't think they understand.
Why is that?
Because we underestimate children. And what I was talking with my students is they are really little adults with less background knowledge. Children are little adults. They have personalities already. They have demeanors already. They have temperament already. They come into this world as a whole person. The only thing they lack is experience. That's it. And we take for granted that they're a whole soul. They are a whole soul when they enter in. And we adults chip away at children. We make them into something different, but they come into this world who they are. And we try to make we try to make them into something. Children, if you look, the average, I'm not saying all, the average child is very compassionate, very empathetic. They are self-centered. But when it comes to like the real, when it's really, they see it. They understand, oh, you know, my Barbie or my truck is not that important right now because my mommy is sad. They identify that. They do know. And kids, because I've worked with kids for so long, and they need to tell people, and guess who they tell? The teacher. They tell the teacher, mommy is crying at home, so I can't tell mommy because she got so much on her plate. So kids need that same outlet that adults do. They find another trusted adult, which typically is their teachers or their peers. And they do share the same adult sentiments that we do. They just don't have they don't have the same verbiage. They do understand.
You were saying something, Angelique? Your screen is cut off.
No, I was just listening to Gloria. I always appreciate her perspective because she is a teacher. So she's not just around her own children. She's around other people's children, and she has been for several generations.
Yeah, that very good, very good. I'm observing a lot because I guess sometimes as a parent, I do exactly what you were saying. And sometimes my daughter hits me with stuff and I'm like, what you know about that? Like, what made you see that? And it's like I have to really sit back and reevaluate what's being absorbed and try not to just react or even just do anything actually. Just sit back and watch and see what's happening here. Because sometimes as adults, we get caught up in what we're doing, what's going on, our own drama, and we're not seeing what's being absorbed. Because then it becomes the opportunity to have a discussion to make sure that they're understanding what they're absorbing. Not to stop it or control it, just how to understand it. Explaining it in terms they understand, maybe answering some whys, because you know kids are gonna come with the whys and the what ifs. So yeah, absolutely. Something else about the book that I observed and I have noticed kids pick up in a different way, process differently. They don't see it, we see it, but there was a huge highlight on economics throughout the book. And I really love that. And it's like, especially nowadays with, everybody we all trying to empower our community when it comes to wealth and money and stuff like that. but it's little gems like this that put it in so subtly and easy to understand with the you know, with all that's going on. There's so much in the book already, but this like major like core lesson in economics from the time the girl is at work with her mom. So it's the understanding of how to build, and then she's saving, she's banking, she's shopping, buying. So the like the understanding value, the counting. There's so much to pull out from this, and to have just like micro lessons within the book. Hi, little one.
I was just smiling at her smile. But back to the economic standpoint of the book, like the thing that stood out to me is it basically brings out a deep message about poverty too.
About, say that again?
Poverty.
Yes, yes.
Because why is the child at her mama job? That means there was no school care. There's no resources for this mom, so her baby is at work with her. That's an economic stance. Then they live in an apartment, not a house. And you know, from an economic standpoint, typically, and then the whole family seems to be living in around the same apartment complex. So they're all in the same neighborhood. And what I appreciate about the book is the economic standpoint. The fact that they had to save for the chair. There's no credit card. What, they got bad credit? You can't use a credit card, swipe and get the chair. You know, you have no savings. No savings was stored up so you can go get a chair. They actually have to save their money up to buy a chair. Something that people who are economically stable take for granted. Just go, swipe the card, get the chair. Just go to the store, get the chair. They literally have a jar, not a bank account. Not a bank account. They have a jar to save the money for a chair. Something we really are like, it's a chair. But that speaks volumes to the economic depravity of the characters in the book. And the community must be deprived too, because they didn't be like, put it on the Amazon wish list. I want to the store. No, these people brought stuff out their house. They brought stuff out their house. They table and 3 chairs. Most dining sets don't come with 3 chairs. They come with 4 or 2. So that was something that stood out to me too. Everything they got from the community had to be used also. So to me, it speaks volumes about collective wealth, how the village is holding wealth, but we're not really capitalizing on the wealth that we do have in our communities. We're not capitalizing on that. And then just something as simple as a bank account. What if they have money in the mattress? And that fire took conversations we need, because old school people did not trust the banking system. So the money is in the mattress. Your house burned down. What happens to the money? You got the money in a coffee jar in the cabinet, but your whole house burned down. So these are some conversations for adults to have, because I know Black people right now, especially people in poverty, they don't trust banks. Oh, the banking system, that's the man. They trying to. And I'm like, what are you thinking? The money in the bank will gain, even if it's a little bit of interest, is growing. In your mattress, I had to have this conversation with my own kid. Take the money out your bedroom and put it in a bank. You have to. Because anything can happen. We could be robbed, anything. And your savings was in your mattress. So I think this book really...
Or at least get one of those fireproof boxes.
But it's in the house. Okay, so there's a fire in the house, right? It's going to take you a minute to get back in the house after the fire. So your house is exposed to police, fire department, neighbors, everything. Who says who's going to pick up this box?
Valid point.
That point.
I don't think people should keep all their savings in the box. I guess I said that because I think you should have cash on hand.
Facts.
I agree.
Some
Facts.
people, the
But
luxury.
even just the idea of having a fireproof box or a mattress says a lot, because there's still a lot of people.
Yeah.
Okay, you don't trust the bank. Why don't you have a safe in the house? Why are you still using coffee cans?
But I mean, it just speaks to the poverty, the depravity of that community. And there's a deeper conversation to be had here. And if we're talking about, to me, I'm on a different playing field now, trying to understand my position economically. I'm trying to understand where I am at economically. How can I create passive income? If my trailer, I live in a trailer. If my trailer burnt down today, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? And how am I generating wealth? And if a tragedy like a storm blows my damn house away, what do I do? Because everybody knows that your wealth is really pretty much predicated on your living situation, because that's the bulk of everybody's budget, where you live at. So if something happens to your dwelling, are you prepared? And this family was completely devastated by this fire. But my first thing was, they don't have no savings. There's no bank account. They gotta be living check to check, because there was not even enough extra money for a chair. They had no money for a chair. So then you gotta think they ain't eating. There's other things going on in this book.
Yeah.
I don't think people were there nights with that girl, they had to take the food from the diner to go home and eat before the fire. Because after this fire, they had nothing. The community had to come together and give them everything. Just something to think about.
That's a lot to think about. That really, reflecting on yourself first, and then how to translate that into what foundation you're giving your child to not be in that situation.
And then notice there's no mention of a father.
Yes, I did notice that.
There's no mention of a grandfather.
Yeah,
There's no
just
man.
mom and grandma. Mm-hmm.
There are no men. Even I think even when they went to the auntie house, there was no man in that situation. Quote me now, go back and see. But they went to live with the aunt. There was no man in that situation.
It's a lot. I mean, even the fact that like her mother, waitress, is typically not that well paid, long hours, and it's considered unskilled labor.
So that goes into
her mother
education.
may have not.
But no, that goes with raising the dang on minimum wage to a livable wage.
I don't think
Let's
that
not even
40 hours a week, you can't even feed their families. That's another conversation.
Yeah, if you can't pay your workers decent, you have a business.
One at a time. Angelique, repeat what you said.
Oh, I was like, that's a whole different conversation. I don't feel like tips should subsidize people's wages. And also, if you can't afford to pay people decent, you shouldn't be in business. Especially because with our tax money, we end up subsidizing full-time working people with Medicaid, WIC, SNAP, and like other services. Like, but these businesses are big corporations. Like that's not okay.
You had something to add there, Gloria?
It is not okay.
Yeah, because I work with a lot of, now, let me be careful because you recording and you're going to share it. But I work with a lot of people who take for granted their position in life. I got my degree. I pulled myself up by my bootstraps. I'm working. You guys are being lazy and you're just not able to work. No, boo-boo. I know people who did not have daddy's money to go to college. So it is not that they don't value education, they couldn't afford education. So if I'm working at McDonald's 40 hours, 50 hours a week, I should be able to feed my family, period. And it is more expensive for the American government, the taxpayer, to give stuff like SNAP and Medicaid. It is more expensive for the government to do that than to just make business owners pay people a livable wage. You don't have to subsidize housing and food if you required your employers to pay enough money. The government can be out of the people's households.
It's very true. And there's companies that have proved it works. Like, yep, Chick-fil-A proves that it can work because they've been paid well above minimum wage since the beginning. And they don't even have that big of a footprint, and they're not open on Sundays. So that's a whole day of what some companies would consider lost revenue. But they still, in terms of revenue yearly, Chick-fil-A is like number 3 out of all fast food in America.
Wow.
With their small footprint, and they're being closed on Sundays, and they pay well with benefits and stuff. And when you have a CEO at a company like McDonald's that makes $900 million a year just in his salary, not counting his bonus, nobody needs that much money. Oh, he earned it. I'm not saying he did it. He doesn't. How do you go to sleep at night knowing that there's people who work for you who could be living in their car and you're okay with that? And you have like 2 vacation homes.
That's what I'm saying. That this book brings up.
I also.
This girl is at a diner. She's not of working age, but she's working. And what I noticed what I have noticed, an observation that I've made, is that when children start making money at an early age, they get a misconception about money. Because this is what I've noticed. Children who start making what they think is good money at an early age, they think I can survive off of this because they don't have a complete sense of reality. They're able to buy their sneakers. They can make enhancements to their cars. They can do those things. So they're like, I'm making the money right now, so I'm good. I don't need to increase my skill level. You know, I could just stay right here. I'm good. And that's a false sense of reality. But then we also live in a nation that says it values education, but don't make a way for its underprivileged to actually have access to higher education. Because to me, there's a bigger conversation here. Why aren't kids coming out of high school with lucrative skills that can make them livable wage money? Why do you have to go to college?
I've been saying
the American
for a couple of years
school system, what's the point if you got to go out and still get more school to be career ready? Makes no sense. Makes no sense.
I've been saying for a couple of years that by the time a kid hits about 6th, 7th grade, maybe even 8th, you have a good idea of what their interests are, their strengths and weaknesses. And I feel like by high school, they should be taking classes that are more geared toward those things. There's a lot of stuff that they don't need to learn and it wastes time. And I believe that they should have some sort of, whether it's a trade, whether it's some sort of art, something, whether it's some sort of business, whatever it is, I think that our school system is failing. And as we go more toward a global economy, America is going to be left in the dust because we will not be able to compete.
Is somebody talking?
I turned into a baby.
Gloria, when you had said, what'd you just say?
Girl.
What'd you say? You said, what did she say?
She was saying that our country acts like we value.
Hold on. Stop. You said,
are you referring to when I said kids working too early give them a false perception?
No, when you said you don't think that you don't think people are able to
the minimum wage
access to education.
What about
I don't believe that's true, because there are plenty of ways to access education. It's just a matter of people in the United States don't really focus on education. Because if you look at people who come from other countries, they got here through those same programs for education that we just chose to ignore because we don't value education like that. So I don't think that's true, because I've seen, because in college, it's been plenty of foreign students who come there with their college fully paid for because they went ahead and did those programs. You know, they sat down with their parents, or, you know, teachers. If they couldn't speak with their parents, they spoke with teachers, or, you know, anybody willing to help them. But because I think it's a little different, because we focus on the wrong things, and a lot of things are given to us. So we automatically assume that, you know, the college education is supposed to be given to us, which I don't believe is true, because again, college isn't for everybody.
It's not. Some
people prefer to do a trade, and some people succeed well in a trade, whereas some would prefer, you know, to get a degree. But I think there are plenty of opportunities. It's just we don't seek them. Some of it is we don't seek them, and then some of it is, you know, we just weren't taught on how to gain access to them.
Okay, we're gonna have to agree to disagree.
Okay. That's fine.
and I'm gonna say this is why. Because even if you gave me access to, right? Then given.
Hold on. You breaking up. Say that again.
Oh, my bad. Let me see. I got good strong signal.
I couldn't really hear you that part.
Oh, wait, let me see. My volume is up. Y'all, I'm good with y'all or no?
I can hear you now.
Oh, my bad. But we have to agree to disagree, because in America, the student loan debt that young people have, is overwhelmingly evidence. Everybody can't even take out a loan because of their parents' bad choices and situations. That cancels out their ability to access education because their parents don't have good credit and their parents couldn't take out a loan.
But you don't always have to take out a loan to go to college.
No, you're right. But if I'm a child that wants to go to college and my grades were mediocre, qualify for the benefits that a smarter student does, and then I'm telling you, education is a beast. First of all, we got to talk about, even in that in itself, the crumbling public education system and how it is really skewed against minority and marginalized groups.
I don't know about that.
We're gonna have to agree to disagree. I'm telling you.
Because again, I understand what you're saying about the marginalized groups, but if you ever notice over time, and it sucks, there are more and more, ways for those specific groups to get into colleges, to get in certain academies, to get certain jobs. I mean, it's the fact that they had to make a law for that to happen. It sucks, but the fact that doesn't diminish the fact that it's there.
But everybody does not have access. Everybody does not have. I know that.
I can't agree. I can't agree with that. Because if everybody has access to internet, everybody has access to Wi-Fi, cell phones.
They don't.
And I hear you saying they don't, but I've had, like you said, I've been in the schools. I mean, I'm not teaching to your extent, but I speak with a lot of children and parents. Even the children who say they are poor, they have internet. They have Wi-Fi. They're able to get on Netflix. They're able to get on Hulu. They're able to get on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You just chose that was more important than your education. That's why I can't believe that, because the way that based off of what I'm hearing from other people, like I went to school with, and the children that I've been around, you can't tell me that, because like I said, you can pay to get them braids done, and I mean I'm not talking $45. I mean you paying $125 to get them braids done. So that means you out of that $125, you could take $50 and pay that internet bill, and then you got internet. You just chose that was more important of a priority than your education. That's why I can't agree with that. Because I mean, I've seen people who stop. I've seen people who've been like at the lowest you can be. Do everything they possibly can to graduate because they prioritized. They felt that their education was that important, so they took the necessary steps to secure that education and get that degree, or learn that trade or something. And there are programs, especially down here in South Carolina, there are plenty of programs for trades. I mean, these people are begging students to come to their school to learn a trade.
But I wanted to comment on a couple of things. I think you both bring up very valid points. Destiny is correct that there are people that really just don't prioritize. But there are areas of the United States where people have very poor or limited access to consistent Wi-Fi. I feel bad for some of the kids who have spent the last 2 school years not being able to connect every day, or even maybe their house only has 1 computer and not everybody can use it. But yeah, our infrastructure is pretty poor. If people have internet access to internet, it's because of their location. Because I know when I first moved in this house, we were just outside of the range of coverage. And our service was really terrible. It wasn't until several years later when we got sick of the fact that it didn't improve and we changed it. It's better now. So we're like, if you're out maybe in Arizona and you're in like the part of the city, maybe. But if you live out rural or in a farm or in a small town, there's people who still use like DSL and stuff.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I wanted to comment on was about the student loans and stuff, and just school. It's weird because we've made education or further education
A business.
a requirement to get work, but it's questionable whether that education even provides what it said it would. And I went to school with people who were not able to finish. We're halfway through the program and then found out somebody miscalculated something with their student aid and they were not able to finish because either nobody wanted to co-sign or nobody could. Myself, I found out
drop the mic, baby. Drop the mic.
Break your glasses.
I totally
The
agree.
only reason I went to
Drop the
college
mic,
was
Angelique, because
my
you done
mom
said a
actually
whole
did
mouthful. You done said a whole mouthful.
I agree with you because a lot of kids, well, this generation especially, they're going to college, paying all this money, going into all this debt to graduate and have no job. And I always say, no matter where you go to school and what you're taking up, whatever job you enter, they're going to train you to do that job the way they want it done, no matter what you learned in college. I went to college for education, and we used to have to go to the school and we had to student teach. And in student teaching, this is the tactic you're supposed to use for a misbehaving student. Johnny, what you did was wrong, and I need you to apologize, and I need you to do this, Johnny, because that behavior is not acceptable. Now, I went on my student teaching one day, and I did that. You know, little Johnny spat in my face. Okay, I can't slap little Johnny. I can't put little Johnny in the corner and time out because that's abuse. Now, I went back to my professor, and I told you, Professor, this was the situation, and she said, and what did you do? I said, no, you tell me what I should have done because I wanted to stomp the brakes off that little bastard. And she said, well, in the optimum situation, this is how you handle it. I said, well, honestly, in 90% of the schools, there is no optimum situation. And this goes back to me saying they're teaching us all this book and all these roles to play. And when you go out into the real world, it's not what they taught you. I had to learn on job that these kids are little bastards and you got to deal with it. You got to talk to kids the way they talk to you, because if you don't take command within those first 5 days, they're going to be walking through the hall saying, Perry. If you don't give them the evil eye and make them shake in their boots, they're going to be looking you up and down saying, and I'm not playing. It's happened to me. I know it's happened to Gloria. So, and this is what 4 years of college did. Well, actually 6 years of college taught me. So now when I don't even go and try to practice teaching because all of it's more bureaucracy in teaching than teaching. You spend more time doing paperwork, follow-ups, and phone calls than actually teaching. And then, so I'll do anything else not to teach. Because like I said, no matter what job you get, they're going to train you to do the job they want you to do and how they want it done. And honestly, I made more answering a damn phone for 8 hours a day. I was making over $40 an hour than I ever did when what I got my degree for. Teachers are not respected. Education is not respected. And I feel it is kind of accessible. I don't think it's as accessible now than it was back in the day. And I think it's all because of bureaucracy and the money game. It's a money game. So I won't tell nobody not to teach, but I know my daughter wants to teach, and I had to talk her out of it. I said, you will go to school forever, and your pay will not increase. Back in the days, you got a sabbatical, and what a sabbatical is, once you work a certain amount of time, because you got to increase your degree. They gave you 2 years to get your next degree or the next few credits you needed, and they help you pay like 50 to 75% of it based on your grade. From what I understand, sabbaticals went out the door almost 15, 20 years ago. Well, doctor, okay, your average teacher don't have a doctorate. But I'm saying your average teacher doesn't have a doctorate. So I'm in $45,000 worth of debt, and I'm only making $30,000 a year. And you want your payment no matter what. So that's my rant. That's rant number 3,000, 3 million, whatever for the day. Goodbye.
I'm sorry, I was having an issue unmuting. Wow. I agree with both Destiny and Gloria, and I wanted to add to kind of piggybacking on what Destiny was saying with access. It is different with respect to what Lucy was saying, that, you know, it's different day and age. The access we have now was not what was had then, but you're still seeing the same lack of prioritizing on the parent side of the child's education. Because at the end of the day, even if you didn't force your child to go to school, you can homeschool. What are you homeschooling? Are you homeschooling the priority of getting knowledge, of growing wealth, growing, you know, just your own, what you want to be when you grow up? So let's delve into that, learn as much as we can about it, try it out. You can do that on your own. And plenty of kids are doing it now. That's why they're not going to college, because they're finding their own way and they're doing that. But from, you know, our elder standpoint, for the ones who maybe had that same situation when it came to poverty, that may not have been a priority just because they couldn't at the time for themselves. How can they pass it down? You might have grandma or somebody else in the community, and that's why the village is important, because you might have somebody else as part of the village to push that, instill that, or be the person in the village that everyone sends the kids to homeschool. That's actually a conversation I was having with an investment group earlier this week, that during the pandemic, a lot of people banded together, and for whomever they had in their group that worked from home or wasn't working at all, that person kept the kids while everybody else could work. Or they paid that person to homeschool their kids while, you know, coronavirus was taking over. And after the experience, they're like, what am I sending my child to school for? They're getting everything and more from home or from this new situation and community that has been built with a focus and what they actually want their kids to learn. So in the 21st century, I'm kind of with Destiny on things. Now we have to retrain our adults and elders, especially the ones who have younger kids or maybe older and didn't have access. So for them, they're just now learning to get on the internet, use a computer, use a smartphone. But for the ones that's here now, having kids, they're 30 and under maybe, it's prioritizing for sure. You have to, but it had to come from somewhere. That's why I do what I'm doing, because it has to come from somewhere. It trickles down. That's that trickle down right there.
Dominoes.
See, your mom trickled that down, but she had the experience.
Yeah.
She did pursue education, and she had an experience. She taught you from her experience.
Oh, and to piggyback off of Nat said, I don't know, this might be a little off subject, but I think the idea that the coronavirus in a way has kind of brought back community, because I feel like with all this technology that we have access to, we lost, communicating with each other, because really communicating, not emojis, not, memes, but really discussing something, like even what we're doing now, like the fact that we actually having these chats about various books and subjects. I don't think we would have done that if it wasn't for coronavirus. I really don't think so, but that's why I feel like it's kind of bringing back that sense of community, because I didn't really get to fully experience that, but I did want my kids to experience that, being able to go to grandma's house, or, call grandma and grandpa early in the morning because you want to talk about, something you saw on TV, or calling your aunt or going to your aunt's house, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like the fact that Black people are finally gathering back that sense of community, they're actually learning more about themselves and more about the potential that we have as a group, and not having to depend on others.
Mm-hmm.
Other groups.
Other groups. Others who don't have the same cultural competency.
Yeah, you said it right. But I do I've always liked that sense of community. I've always been a strong believer in family. And I feel like over the years, Black people have really lost that, because everybody is so focused on me and, improving me. But now it's changing. Black people are more focused on generational wealth. Like Gloria said, generational wealth. I want my family to be able to be comfortable in the years to come, where we don't have to, do stuff we don't want to do. That shouldn't have to be Black people as a whole mentality. I gotta do what I gotta do. I shouldn't have to step on Tom, Dick, Harry, and Larry's feet in order to survive. In order to get ahead. It takes away from community. When you feel like you gotta step on everybody else in order to succeed, there's no community. And I've noticed with a lot of Asian, Mexican, and white cultures, that I don't see that. I don't feel like they stepping on each other's feet. I feel like, everybody is helping each other out in some shape or form. Asians, they really took over a certain market and really profited. And now you're seeing that, say you get 15 people in a nail salon and they're all working together, right? Once that salon is paid for and they build up enough clientele, they're going to purchase another one. And I feel like Black people are slowly but surely learning that we can do that too, and we don't have to step on each other's feet. There's enough money out there for everybody. And that's where that generational wealth comes from, and that's where that sense of community comes from. Because when you can depend on your community, there's no limit, because not everybody has it. But when you know that you got that support system, and there's always somebody out there who may know more than you, and you can come to them, y'all can make that money together. But I think it's something Black people had to relearn.
Absolutely.
Because I think with slavery and all that stuff, we had to that forced us to focus on my survival, not Patricia and Keisha's survival, just me. But now, because like I said, community and stuff, now we focusing on the whole family, and the families to come where, I don't have to work. My money's making money for me because I know how to do that now,
Mhm. Go ahead, Gloria.
First of all, I'm very animated. Y'all know this. And I was dropping mics every time y'all made points. I was like, drop the mic, Angelique. Drop the mic, Destiny. Drop the mic, Lucy. Because the one thing that I wanted to go back to was the access to education, how I just said we had to agree to disagree. We keep underestimating the power of systemic racism and oppression. We keep underestimating that. And one thing I noticed in this book, they're minorities.
Mm-hmm.
Did you pick up on that?
Yep.
They're not white. They are minorities. And so what we are failing to see here is that marginalized groups do not have the same access. And Angelique brought up a point, and I was like, drop the mic. We have an infrastructure that is so effing weak in America. How we are a leading country when you got kids who don't have access to internet. And it is not a poor choice on their parent. It's not. They don't have access. The pandemic brought up how weak our infrastructure is. The pandemic brought up how people were really living check to check, living real foul in this culture. And it's not because of a lack of priorities for 100% of the people who were impacted by this. I'm talking about hardworking people like that waitress in the book, working every day, got her kid there, and don't have the resources because of oppression, because of the lack of a livable wage, because of the inaccess to education. Or let me tell y'all something. There is a systemic problem with education in America.
Mm-hmm.
And from a teacher's point of view, Black kids are not taught the same way white kids are taught. And it's not only coming from their homes, it's coming from teachers in the classroom.
That's true.
And these kids are coming from parents who were abused in the public education system, who would say F education is not worth it. And then that has bred into this oppression in minority communities. Oh, no. Now listen, when you were talking about Africans, Asians, and all of that stuff, right? I was like, drop the mic, Destiny. But there was one part you weren't forgetting. The oppression of the government. Asians can get a loan before Black people.
Mm-hmm.
Asians go to banks and get loans and Black people don't. Period. People come from different countries. I'm telling you, Destiny, people come from different countries.
Yes, get along before we do.
No American stake in the game. These are foreigners. Come over here and take out a loan and start their businesses. Black people, because of oppression, mama got the bill in the baby name, done messed up your baby credit. And now and I'm not saying all mamas did this out of ill will or ill intention. I got to keep doggone lights on. So I put this bill in Keisha's name because we ain't gonna have no lights because I done messed all my opportunities to get credit because nobody taught me. That's a systemic problem. That is a systemic problem. And then when it's time for Keisha to go to college, Keisha got bad credit since she was 3. The mama got bad credit. So when it's time to get that loan to go to school, that kid needs a Parent Plus loan, or they need, more and the fill in the tap, and they just don't have it. And the prices of college right now is astronomical. It don't even make no sense.
Never lie.
And then I said, Lucy, stop the mic, because you go to college, you get the degree, can't find no MF and job. And then you get on, train you all over again.
That's true.
You gave me a whole degree, then gonna tell me as a teacher, you gave me a whole degree. Oh, by the way, Ms. Brown, you need to do this test to stay a teacher. What? You need to do this.
You need to pay for this.
This over here to stay a teacher.
Pay for this recertification.
You should have made sure that I came out of college with $50,000, $100,000 worth of debt. I should have already been a whole teacher. Why I gotta keep taking classes and paying more money to stay? That don't make no goddamn sense. And I got all these. What? There is a problem in America. I'm telling you, there's a bigger problem. I am a conspiracy theorist. They don't want us to be educated.
That's true. That's true.
They don't want it to happen. I'm telling you, there is people profiting off of our and our poverty and our lack of education. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. And they are pitting us against one another purposefully to keep us in our place.
Hold on.
That's what I'm saying. Oh, excuse my language.
It's okay.
But the bonnet is just another way to oppress us. You cannot take away what's in my bonnet. Once I got it, you can't take it away. But then the way, how do you vilify me? You vilify me through my bonnet. Because you know you can't take away the education. You know you can't take away my experience. So what do? You diminish my character. And then you won't give me no job. Or you put out in there that women with bonnets are ghetto. So you won't hire this woman, but my skills don't go away. It's a problem, y'all, I'm telling you. And the fact that the characters are minorities, that would even tell you what was the author thinking by making them minorities. There's a point to be made there.
Hi, Gloria.
Right, drop.
To piggyback off of Gloria said, I fully agree. But I think, like I said, that goes back to the fact that we are finding community again. Because the fact that we're finding community, we are learning more about ourselves. I feel like, because she's right. Schools do not teach, black and whites the same. A lot of things I did not learn until I went to college. A lot of things I did not learn until I went. And you would think, in high school and middle school and elementary school, you're supposed to teach this. You're supposed to teach it. But like I said, I think because we're finding that community again and we're relying on ourselves, that we are finally really learning about, because Black people are really learning finance. We're trading, we're learning about how to make our money make money for us. We're learning profit, how to own your own business, entrepreneurship, LLCs. I feel like when I get on Facebook, I'm seeing so many Black businesses just starting constantly, because we're finally really learning. And it sucks that because a lot of the stuff we're learning, we didn't learn in school. We learned amongst ourselves, just that one person who finally made their foot through the door said, here you go. This is how you do it. Now you got 50 other people getting that foot through the door. That's why I said this it's a sense of community is finally coming back, and we're finally learning what we need to really learn. Because it makes no sense how, when you turn 18, you're an adult. They expect you to be an adult. But you never taught me what I need to know. So by the time I hit 18, I have no idea what I'm doing except working. I don't know how to budget. Not me per se, because, my mom told me that. But, most people, I don't know how to budget. Like one girl I went to college with, she couldn't budget to save her life. And I mean, you're talking about buying a couple of groceries and some paper plates. If you're making this amount of money, you should budget because you got to eat. But you didn't learn that because your parents didn't teach you that. Your grandparents didn't teach you that. But now with this sense of community, you learn it from your grandparents, your parents, Patricia down the street. You learning all these things that if one person lacks, you can learn it from another person. Because like I said, the school is not teaching it to you. So now you have to learn it from somebody else. And I like it. I feel it sucks that the school system doesn't do that. But like I said, the fact that we're learning from each other is really helping us crawl up this ladder.
Well, the thing you said about helping other people get their foot in the door is a lot of what's going on now too, because we're learning, but we're also teaching.
Yep.
And as we teach, we strengthen the community. We built the community because, we learned it. So we get everybody together. Now we teaching it and we strengthening. When we get to the core of knowing ourselves, why we are where we are, and how we get where we want to go, then it's pushing it back out. And that's when we start changing our environment, getting into politics, making ways to change the schools in our community.
Or even opening up your own
And
school.
because we, like we have talked about in other sessions, you have to be an advocate for your child.
What I want to say,
And the numbers speak. So if the community is advocating for the children, the school has to bow to the community.
what I want to say to
The politicians have to bow to the community. You make enough noise, you bring enough heat, things are going to change. But it's not going to happen if, we don't go back to learning for ourselves, learning ourselves, teaching each other, bringing each other in, building it up, then pushing it out. I mean, people do it all the time by themselves. I know you are all diligent parents and caregivers. You've been to schools, had to talk to the principal. You know your worth. You know the law. You just come with that and not that alone. Because a lot of people don't think sometimes she got a bonnet on. She don't know nothing. She's smart. They're gonna do what I said. No. I'm educated. I know my rights. This is not happening in my community. This is not happening in my school, and most importantly, not to my child.
see what I wanted to say was
Snowball effect.
education wasn't meant to teach us. Just like a doctor isn't meant to make you well. You don't make money off of cured patients. You don't make money off of smart people. Now, the thing with education is, if I taught y'all everything y'all needed to know to be successful, I don't know if y'all know it, but there is money being made in giving out SNAP benefits. There's money being made giving out Medicaid. Poverty makes money. So if I gave y'all everything y'all needed when y'all were in school, you don't need those programs, which means I can't tax what's already been taxed and retax. I can't take your money before you see it. You get what I'm saying? So there is money in poverty. So education, well, the education system is not taught to teach you. And that's why they broke up the family. Because we were teaching each other, we were sharing our knowledge. Back in the day when Shauna had to work, whoever was the community mother was teaching the kids. We grew up, where we grew up at, I think my dad and another father was the only two fathers on the block. But the mothers kept it on lock. If I went down the street and did something and somebody spotted me, I got that community ass whooping coming all the way back to the block. If I couldn't go to school because I was sick, I was sitting up in somebody else's apartment getting my schoolwork done. Because whoever they child that went to school brought me my homework, brought me my classwork. If you notice, that don't even happen anymore. They're not even promoting homework as much as they were.
Nope.
The kids try to get it done before they even walk out the door. There is no money in the education system here. We need to teach our own. And the thing is also, when I was younger, I always said what I wanted my kids to know before they left my house. And I've always told them, if you got a problem, let me know. Because once you leave my door, there's not too much more I can do for you because you're grown. So they know how to budget. They know what it's like. And I always told them, when you walk out that door, the love you get here, you're not going to get it nowhere else. Because when Destiny came home from her first break, I don't know if Angelique knows, but y'all know Destiny's not emotional. This girl was crying and snotting saying thank you. Because her roommate, it was horrible. But I said, you know what? You're going to get through that. You're going to cook. I've taught you to cook. I've taught you to sew. I've taught you to budget. I've taught you everything you need. I taught you how to occupy your time and your mind when there's nothing else to do so the devil don't play with you. So when she came home and was telling me about, oh, her friend is like so-and-so in debt because she done bought all these clothes on credit, and this friend right here left turds in the toilet and left dookie on this. and then don't make the bed, maggots coming out the garbage can. She felt like she was a slave. I said, no, that's when you delegate. You know how to do everything. Now it's time for you to delegate to somebody else to learn. That's how you teach. You start delegating, you teach. So us as parents, we need to start delegating again. We need to start telling people, don't do that to your kid. You know, Johnny may have done this in school. Don't do that to Johnny. You know, so you gotta give me a minute. So yeah, we need to start teaching our own because they're not vested in our kids. They're not. Go ahead, Angelique, baby girl.
Oh, you actually took it like farther than I was going to take it, because I was going to say that I just feel like our educational system is outdated. It was created around the fact that we were an agricultural society, and there are still some areas or states or regions, but overall we are no longer like an agricultural society, and the needs have changed. And it's super upsetting that some kids go to school and they learn how to do graphic art. They learn how to use programs like Adobe Illustrator. I didn't learn how to do it until college. And then you have other kids who really don't even know like basic computer stuff. Like we have a lot of kids who use computers and don't even really understand basic functions. You wonder why your computer gets a virus. You can't click on every link. Or they don't understand, you know, how to set up certain things in your computer, how to set up a macro so that if you misspell a word, the thing will automatically, just basic like programming. But there's a lot of holes. I didn't necessarily think overall it was done intentionally. I knew that the gaps were intentional, even though they blamed it on things like property taxes and funding. I think those are really simple answers to deeper problems, because we have states that make a lot of money and that money is used elsewhere. So there's really no reason why, if you have schools that are lacking, they can't take money from a school that has a surplus, regardless of the property taxes. And also property taxes vary too. So like, what are you saying? And there's schools in areas where there's homes that those schools are lacking in resources. So it's a whole bunch of stuff, but I didn't think necessarily about it being engineered. It wouldn't surprise me. The other thing that I wanted to comment on was just about Black people as a whole. I recently learned, and by recently, I mean, I've learned more about it the past year, but a few years before that, I had learned a lot about the Reconstruction era, which was, I forget the time span, like year to year, but it was a span of time after slavery, and Black people were thriving because there wasn't Jim Crow. I mean, if you were in the South, didn't mean they didn't experience racism or discrimination, but in general, people bought homes, they had businesses, and it's just interesting to see what we accomplished in a short amount of time when we weren't interfered with. And then after, you know, like the Red Summer and the Tulsa Massacre and stuff, like a lot of stuff changed. And then we had all these Jim Crow laws, and then the redlining started to come in the 1930s. But there was Black politicians who worked right alongside white politicians. And it's unfortunate that we have a lot of stereotypes about, you know, that make it seem like we're lazy or like we can't achieve. And it's like, it isn't even that. Like, and I wish that one of the things that people understood when we talk about like the whole thing with right fragility, nobody's saying it's your fault. We're not saying you did it. We're not saying you want it this way. We just want you to understand. Not saying you can't be happy about the success you've achieved. We want you to understand and know that there's a system that makes it darn near impossible for many people to achieve what you did. They can try and try and try. It's not that it was even like handed to you. It's not saying you didn't work for it, but just please be aware that there is a system in place. That's it. But I do think that we do need to teach our own. We need to, and your parents can't teach you what they didn't know. My mother was very poor with money, and as a result, I didn't really start getting a handle on it myself until I was like in my mid-20s, and I had to teach myself, and I had to learn, all right, and this is how much you make, and how much do you want to save a month? Then you got to do whatever you can to save this, and you live at home, so you have an excuse. But parents do need to teach their kids a lot of skills. There's a lot of things they don't teach them, even basic stuff, how to change a tire, how to balance a checkbook, you know, basic cooking skills, laundry, stuff with cleaning, you know, little things, even, basic sewing skills is really important. You know, little things you can do in your own home, how to fix something small or simple, how to unclog a drain, you know, how to cook on a budget. Like maybe you live in a household that has, you know, you don't ever have to worry about that, but you should probably still teach your kids, like, these are really affordable meals. You know, these are the ingredients. You can make it bulk, or you can take this and flip it into 3 meals. But I'm glad that we are doing better to come together. And even if it's just groups like this, like slowly but surely, it will spread out. That's all.
And this is just me thinking. Education is rough. And it's very problematic. But I don't care what nobody say, we need more Black teachers. We have got to get more Black teachers into the industry. No, it don't pay a lot, but the groundwork starts. If we're in a system that is broken, the only way to unbreak the system is to infiltrate it. We gotta get more Black teachers in the classroom, period. And we need Black teachers that are conscious and aware of what is going on. Because I don't care what nobody say, Black teachers teach Black children differently. We understand them. Black teachers write up students less than white teachers. This is all statistically proven fact that I'm telling you. Black teachers write up Black students at a lower incident rate. Black teachers relate to Black students culturally better. Black teachers are able to communicate and build the schema that kids need to understand concepts because Black people have a shared experience in America. And I'm telling y'all now, I know we discourage people from going into education. We need Black teachers. We need Black cops. We need Black judges. We need Black lawyers. We need more Black people in the system, in the parts of the system that are broken. The only way to fix the system is to infiltrate it. You got to get up in there. You got to get up in the system to break the thing, to break their system and build a better one for our children, period. So we got to get more Black police officers, more Black teachers, more Black lawyers, more Black doctors, more Black judges. Period.
Definite mic for you. Yeah.
Then you just dropped the pickle.
That's all I got. I'm gonna get a real mic.
Mommy.
I'll make a mic.
Love you,
For my
Mommy.
crafting skills.
Hey, why
Don't
you?
listen.
They got those little mini mics I be seeing on TikTok. Y'all seen those little mini mics?
What's he on TikTok?
Y'all know what I'm talking about.
Oh,
The little mini mics. They be on TikTok. They be like, I would have to show y'all one.
I'll find one. I'll make one. I want to thank you guys. This has been a great session.